I laughed it off at first, kids mix things up. But when I asked her who he was, she whispered, "Mom said I can't tell you." It was my daughter Ella's 7th birthday, and the backyard looked like a Pinterest explosion. Pink streamers tangled in the trees, a rented bounce house squeaking under constant assault, a cake shaped like a unicorn with edible glitter. Kids ran wild, parents clustered in bored little groups near the grill, and my wife Stephanie was in her element. Smiling, laughing, playing hostess like it was her calling. Everything felt normal until it didn't. I first noticed the guy by the juice table. Early to mid-30s, fit. That kind of practiced casual that makes you think expensive cologne and good dental insurance. I figured he was one of the neighborhood dads. But then I saw Ella run to him, grab his hand, and say, clear as daylight, "Can we open presents now, Dad?" The world tilted. Just a little. Like someone nudged reality. The man flinched. His face did this tight, almost smile thing before he looked up and saw me watching. Stephanie was across the lawn, but she moved fast. Almost too fast. She glided over and planted herself between them like a wall in yoga pants. "Oh, honey," she said lightly, placing a hand on Ella's shoulder. "That's Mr. Ryan. He helped Mommy with the decorations, remember?" Ella blinked up at her. "But you said..." Stephanie squeezed her shoulder. "Go play, sweetie." I tried to keep my expression neutral, but something in my stomach turned. I walked over, offered a handshake. "Ryan, right?" He shook it. Firm grip. Polite smile. No eye contact. "Yeah, thanks for letting me help out." I wanted to ask, help with what? How do you know my wife well enough to be helping with my daughter's birthday party? But I smiled, nodded, walked away. That night, after the house finally quieted and the cake coma took Ella out cold, I tucked her in and asked as gently as I could, "Hey baby girl, who's Mr. Ryan?" She looked away, picked at the hem of her pajama top. "He's nice. He plays dolls with me sometimes. He brought me that unicorn book with the sparkly cover." I swallowed. That was sweet of him. "But why did you call him Dad?" She went still. Then in the smallest voice, "Mom said I can't tell you." My stomach dropped. "Tell me what, honey?" She just shook her head. Wouldn't look at me. Wouldn't say anything more. Stephanie was downstairs, wine glass in hand, scrolling on her phone like she hadn't just detonated my world. I sat across from her. "Who the hell is Ryan?" She didn't even flinch. Just sipped her wine. "He's a PTA dad. Helped with setup." Ella got confused. "Did she?" She met my eyes for a half second, then looked away. "She's 7. Kids mix stuff up. That should have been enough. If nothing was wrong, it would have been enough." I spent the next hour scrolling through photos from the party. One stopped me cold. Ella opening presents with Ryan kneeling beside her, his hand gently resting on her back. She looked so comfortable with him. So familiar. The way her eyes lit up. The way she leaned into him. That wasn't a stranger. That wasn't a PTA dad. That night, I didn't sleep. I laid there next to Stephanie, watching the ceiling fan spin, hearing Ella's voice in my head over and over. "Mom said I can't tell you." That's not something a child makes up. That's a secret. And secrets always mean something. The next morning, I did what any modern man spiraling into suspicion would do. I opened my laptop and typed Ryan into Stephanie's Facebook friends list. There he was, Ryan Gallagher. His profile was casual enough: public job title, marketing consultant, a handful of gym selfies, some beach vacation shots. The kicker? Stephanie had liked nearly every one of his recent posts. Most were harmless, but a few? One photo caught me off guard: Stephanie at a wine tasting with a group, standing close to Ryan. Her hand rested lightly on his back. The caption read, "Great company, better wine. Nights like these make it all worth it." Stephanie had commented, "We definitely need a redo." I clicked through albums, scanned comment threads. Ryan replying with hearts. Stephanie calling him her favorite troublemaker. It wasn't flirty in the traditional sense. It was worse. It was intimate. Familiar. Like the kind of banter that only comes from years of closeness. Then I found something that made me sit down. A photo of Ryan and Ella. It was from almost a year ago. A charity event. Ella had the same red bow she wore for last Christmas. In the picture, Ryan had his hand on her shoulder. She was beaming. That same beam she used to give me. I hadn't taken that photo. I hadn't even known she was there. I looked at the date. December 10th. Stephanie told me they were at her mom's that weekend. My stomach dropped. This wasn't a random encounter. This was a pattern. There were comments from mutual friends. "Ella looks so grown up. She's got your smile, Ryan." My hands shook on the trackpad. This wasn't new. This wasn't a fling. This was established. Lived in. Rehearsed. Later that day, while Stephanie showered, I got into her car. I wasn't planning to. I just walked past the driver's side door and saw the envelope tucked under the visor. Something told me to look. Her Bluetooth auto-connected to her phone. Recent contacts flashed up. Ryan was at the top. I clicked on a voicemail. His voice, low and familiar, filled the car. "Hey, I miss you. And tell our girl I'll bring her the new dollhouse next week. The one with the lights she likes. Our girl." That phrase hit like a hammer. The kind of phrasing you only use when you're not pretending. I sat in the car, frozen, staring at the dashboard while my pulse drummed in my ears. The glove compartment was unlocked. I opened it. Inside was a manila envelope. Plain. Unmarked. I don't even remember pulling it out. My hands moved on their own. Inside, printed paperwork. A DNA test. My name. Ella's name. 2 columns. A single conclusion. Paternity probability, 0%. My vision blurred. I blinked hard. Tried to convince myself I was reading it wrong. That there had to be a mistake. That maybe it was just some mix-up. But my name was printed there. Plain as day. And so was hers. I didn't remember breathing. I didn't remember getting out of the car. I walked inside in a trance, the envelope clutched in my hand like a weapon I didn't know how to use. Stephanie stood in the hallway, towel wrapped around her hair. She froze when she saw me. Saw what I was holding. "What's that?" I held it up. "You tell me." Her face drained of color. "You went through my car? That's what you're worried about?" She opened her mouth. Closed it. She looked like she might faint. Her knees bent slightly like her body was trying to escape gravity. "I didn't know how to tell you," she whispered. "At first, I really thought you were the father. But then the test came back and I didn't know what to do. So you lied. I didn't want to lose everything." I laughed. It came out hollow. "You already did." "Please," she said, stepping closer. "You're still her dad. You always have been." "No," I said, backing away. "I was a placeholder. A convenient idiot." She flinched. "Does she know?" I asked. "Does Ella know I'm not her father?" "No," Stephanie whispered. "Not yet. But I already knew the answer. Because when I asked Ella who Ryan was, she didn't hesitate. She called him Dad. And then she said, "Mom told me I can't tell you." Because she wasn't allowed. Because the truth was too big. Too heavy. Too devastating. I didn't sleep that night. Not even a little. I lay on the couch, the envelope still in my hand, staring at the ceiling while my mind spun like a centrifuge. I'd always imagined infidelity would hit like a car crash, fast, loud, unavoidable. But this was slow. Corrosive. It ate through me hour by hour. Stephanie didn't come downstairs. The silence between us stretched until morning. At 6:43 a.m., I heard Ella's tiny footsteps pad down the stairs. I shoved the envelope into a drawer and tried to breathe normally. She ran to me, climbed onto the couch, and curled into my side like she always used to. "Good morning, Daddy," she whispered. My heart broke. Because even now, even knowing what I knew, I couldn't not love her. I couldn't pretend I hadn't kissed every scraped knee, braided her hair for kindergarten, stayed up all night during her first flu. "Good morning, baby," I said, brushing her curls back. That's when Stephanie appeared in the doorway, eyes puffy and face pale. She didn't say anything. Just stood there, watching us. "I have to talk to you," she said when Ella skipped into the kitchen. I nodded. She sat across from me, wrapping her robe tighter like it could shield her from what was coming. "I never planned for this to happen," she began. "Ryan and we were together before you and I started dating. I found out I was pregnant and honestly thought it might be yours. I didn't tell him. I didn't tell anyone. Until Ella was 5. She got sick, needed a rare blood transfusion. The hospital couldn't match us. I panicked. Ryan was the only person I thought to call. I stared at her. "So you found out then?" She nodded slowly. "He matched. The test confirmed it. But by then, you were her dad. You raised her. I didn't want to blow up everything." My voice cracked. "So you just let me believe?" She looked away. I tried to keep him away. I did. But she asked about him. She met him once at the hospital and they just clicked. It was like she knew. I rubbed my face, trying to find oxygen. "So every girl's day out? That was you and Ryan." "Sometimes. Not all of them." I wanted to scream. But Ella was in the next room. I couldn't be the monster in this house, not when I wasn't even sure what role I had left to play. "I deserve to know the truth," I said. "You do," she whispered. "And I'm sorry it came out like this. But I wasn't trying to hurt you." I just froze. "Does he want custody?" She shook her head. "No. He just wants to be around. He thinks he can be part of her life without taking her from you." I stood. "That's not his call." "No," she said softly. "It's not. It's yours." And just like that, I realized something. I wasn't powerless. I was angry, wounded, betrayed. But I still had a choice. And that scared her more than anything. Because I could forgive, or I could walk. And neither one would look like the man she thought she controlled. Stephanie cried that night. Not loud sobs, not begging. But quiet, guilt-soaked weeping behind the bedroom door she didn't invite me through. I slept on the couch again, even though slept is generous. My eyes closed. My heart didn't. Every time I tried to relax, I'd hear Ryan's voice again. That soft voicemail. The phrase, "our girl." It looped like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. The next morning, I packed a small overnight bag. Toothbrush, change of clothes, laptop, a few books. Nothing dramatic, just enough to stay gone for a day or two, maybe longer if I needed to. I wasn't leaving permanently, but I couldn't stay either. Not in that house. Not in the echo chamber of that lie. Stephanie caught me in the hallway. "You're leaving." I nodded. "I need space." She stepped toward me, barefoot, arms folded tight across her chest like she was holding herself together. "Please don't make any decisions yet. Not until we talk more. With someone, maybe a counselor. We can fix this." "Can we?" I asked, my voice cracking more than I wanted it to. She flinched. "I didn't mean to destroy everything, but you did." And then, right on cue, Ella came thundering down the stairs, clutching a sparkly toy wand like it was Excalibur. "Daddy, will you come to my school play next week?" I dropped to one knee, kissed her forehead. I wouldn't miss it for the world. She hugged me so tightly I thought I might shatter. That hug, that little heartbeat against my chest, it reminded me what mattered. Not the betrayal, not even the lies. Her. This was the part one couldn't lose. I spent the next 2 days at a friend's place. Someone who didn't ask questions, didn't need the full story, just handed me a spare key and a blanket and said, "Crash here as long as you need." In that silence, I unraveled. I reread that DNA test a dozen times. I checked the envelope for any chance it was a joke, a mistake, something fake. But no, it was real as it gets. On day 3, I made an appointment with a lawyer. Not for divorce, not yet. I needed to know what my rights were, what it meant legally to be the father of a child who wasn't biologically mine. The answer wasn't comforting. In our state, I had no automatic parental rights unless I was listed on the birth certificate or had gone through formal adoption. I was listed, but Ryan had biological paternity on his side. If he pushed, if Stephanie supported him, the courts could recognize him as Ella's legal father. I left that meeting feeling like I was walking on a tightrope over broken glass. I wasn't just fighting for my family. I was fighting to keep my role as her father at all. I called Stephanie that night. "We need to talk, face to face." She agreed. We met at her sister's house, a neutral space. Ella was upstairs playing. Stephanie sat at the kitchen table, wrapped in a sweater that made her look 10 years older. "I talked to a lawyer," I said. "I wanted to understand where I stand." She looked up, panicked. "You're not taking her away, are you?" My jaw tightened. "I'm not trying to hurt her, but I'm not going to be erased either." "You're her father," Stephanie said quickly. "You always will be." "Then prove it," I said. "Set boundaries. Ryan doesn't get unsupervised visits. He doesn't call her without you present. He doesn't get to make parenting decisions unless I'm there too." Stephanie hesitated. "That'll upset him." I stared at her, something cold creeping into my tone. "Good." She folded her hands, trembling. "What if he wants more? Then he can take it to court, and you can explain why you lied for 7 years, why you manipulated me into raising a child under false pretenses." She went pale. "You'd really do that?" "If it protects Ella, yes. I'm not doing this for revenge, Steph. I'm doing it because she deserves stability. Not a new dad with a gym membership and a guilt complex." That was when she cracked. Tears, real ones this time, streamed down her face. She looked like someone who just realized the mask she wore was crumbling beyond repair. "I'll do it," she said. "Whatever you want. Just don't leave us." I didn't respond right away, because forgiveness wasn't something I could give her in a moment. And trust? That would take longer than either of us could predict. But I knew one thing. I wasn't going to let a man who showed up after the hard years rewrite the story I lived day in and day out for 7 straight. This wasn't over. Not even close. The following week blurred like a slow-motion car crash. Stephanie and I functioned more like awkward roommates than spouses, every interaction polite, every movement careful. We walked on glass, only the glass was already broken. Ella didn't notice. Or maybe she did, but kids have a terrifying way of adapting to emotional tension. She was all sunshine and school projects, asking about Halloween costumes and begging me to let her eat frosting straight from the tub. I let her. Meanwhile, I dove headfirst into contingency plans. I met with a second lawyer, a child psychologist, and even my accountant. I didn't trust anything anymore, not my marriage, not the law, not even my own judgment. So I prepared for everything. Stephanie stuck to our agreement. Ryan didn't come around. No calls, no visits, no photos. But the quiet didn't reassure me. It unnerved me. Ryan wasn't the kind of guy to just back off, not after 7 years of silence followed by sudden intimacy. One evening, Stephanie broke the ice. I told Ryan everything, she said as we stood in the kitchen, both of us pretending to care about overcooked pasta. Define everything, I said. That you know. That we agreed on boundaries. That you're staying involved no matter what. I didn't look at her. And? He didn't take it well. He thinks I'm punishing him. He should try being me for a week, I muttered. She reached out. He won't take it to court. He said he won't fight. You believe him? No. But I don't think he wants the mess either. I still didn't feel safe. That weekend, I drafted a custody agreement, one that legally solidified my parental rights, even if they weren't biological. My lawyer called it a step-parent adoption with full guardianship language. It needed Stephanie's signature. And mine. And a notary. I brought it home. Placed it on the kitchen counter with a pen. She saw it. Froze. This is serious, she whispered. So is your lie. For 3 days, it sat untouched. A silent ultimatum. I didn't pressure her. I didn't say a word. Then one night, she walked into the living room while I was reading to Ella. I signed it, she said, holding out the papers. You're her dad. You've always been. I was just scared that if I admitted the truth, you'd leave. I took the papers. Nodded. I still might. She blinked. Swallowed. Said nothing. But deep down, I think she knew this wasn't about punishment. It was about proof. Proof that love, in the trenches of lies and betrayal, still had a place to stand. Even if it was bruised. Even if it would never be the same. A week after the custody agreement was signed, I found myself staring at the fridge door where Ella had taped a crayon drawing, the three of us holding hands, big bubble letters above our heads spelling, "My family." It felt like a punch and a bomb at the same time. I was still there in the picture. But so was Stephanie, smiling like she hadn't shattered me. And Ella beaming in between us, blissfully unaware of the nuclear fallout simmering just beneath her cartoonish coloring. That weekend, I sat Stephanie down. No distractions. No TV murmuring in the background, no Ella within earshot. I need to tell her, I said. Stephanie went pale. Tell her what? The truth. Or some version of it. Before someone else does. Before she finds out in a way we can't control. Stephanie clutched her mug so tightly her knuckles whitened. She's just a kid. She's also not stupid. And she already knows something's wrong. Do you want her finding out from Ryan? From a cousin? From a fight she overhears? She didn't answer. She didn't have to. I already knew she hadn't thought that far ahead. So we worked with a child psychologist. Came up with language. Boundaries. Truths told gently. A scaffolding of trust to hold the story. We practiced how to answer the inevitable questions. What if she asks why we lied? What if she wants to know who Ryan really is? What if she hates us? We didn't have perfect answers. But we had a plan. And for the first time in months, that felt like progress. And then one Saturday afternoon, sitting in the park by the pond, I told my daughter something that cracked me open. Ella, sweetie, families come in lots of shapes. And sometimes, grown-ups make choices before they really know what's best. But the one thing that never changes is how much I love you. She looked at me with wide eyes. Are you okay, Daddy? I'm okay, I said. And I want you to know something. You have 2 dads who care about you. One helped make you. And one's been lucky enough to raise you. She blinked. You're my real dad. I swallowed hard. Thank you for saying that. But I can like Ryan too, right? That broke me in the best way. Yes, baby? You can. We sat there for a long time, her head resting on my arm, watching ducks paddle across the water like nothing had changed. In some ways, nothing had. In others, everything had. On the way home, she asked, can I still call him Ryan? I nodded. Whatever feels right to you. She was quiet for a while. Then, softly, she said, I still want you to tuck me in. I smiled through wet eyes. Always. That night, Stephanie thanked me. You handled it better than I ever could. I didn't reply. I just nodded and turned off the lights. We weren't fixed. We weren't even close. But we weren't hiding anymore either. Because even as I stayed, I knew I wasn't the same man I was a year ago. I wasn't staying for her. I wasn't staying out of habit or guilt. I was staying because I had earned the right to be Ella's father. Because love, the real kind, the one you earn over scraped knees, school projects, and 2 a.m. fevers is stronger than blood. And because sometimes the best revenge isn't leaving, it's staying and being better.